There's this force that takes hold for 1 month out of the year. It's like a silent override of our rational minds, something so predictable that we've all just kind of stopped questioning it. But what if this annual shift isn't just a lapse in judgment? What if it's a response to something far more structured and intentional?
It's like clockwork. Every December, the exact same thing happens. Budgets that were so carefully managed for 11 months, well, they just start to fall apart, almost like they have a mind of their own.
And this is when rational people like you and me, start making some pretty irrational decisions. Credit limits get stretched, future costs are they're postponed, and spending just picks up speed, not because we need to, but because something deep inside us has fundamentally shifted.
But here's the thing. This isn't some personal failure. It's not about a lack of discipline. It's what you could call a seasonal psychological override, a really predictable shift where our normal way of making decisions gets temporarily rewritten.
And there's actually a name for this mechanism: neurological surrender. Now, the feeling of generosity, that's absolutely real, but the act itself, it's often less about a spontaneous choice and more about the brain just falling into a deeply ingrained, rehearsed script. It's a structured response, not really a sudden impulse.
So where does that script come from? Well, it starts with culture. From the time we're young, we're conditioned to connect this time of year not just with family or community, but with a very specific form of it: material abundance.
And the cultural message is just relentless, isn't it? It demands more. More lights. More food.
And of course, more gifts. The unspoken rule is clear. If this season doesn't feel more abundant than the rest of the year, then you're doing something wrong.
In this environment, money stops being just a tool for buying things. It becomes a kind of social language. Spending gets transformed into the main way we signal that we're present, that we're participating, that we care. And in that language, being financially responsible can easily be misunderstood as being emotionally absent.
Now, all this cultural pressure finds the perfect weak spots in our own minds. The season is just perfectly calibrated to exploit these vulnerabilities, especially our completely warped perception of time and consequence.
Think about how our brains do the math here. The emotional relief, that sense of belonging you get from spending right now, that feels immediate. It's concrete. But the financial cost, the bill that shows up next month, that feels distant, abstract. Our brains are just hardwired to choose the concrete reality of now over the abstract idea of later.
And then you have three powerful emotions that just pour gasoline on the fire. Guilt over not doing enough gets turned directly into the action of spending. Social comparison forces us to spend just to keep up, to protect our identity. And this manufactured sense of urgency, the calendar's about to flip, it systematically shuts down our long-term thinking. So you see, logic doesn't disappear, it's just outvoted.
This predictable behavior doesn't happen in a vacuum, though. It happens inside a much larger economic architecture that both anticipates this moment and, frankly, depends on it.
And make no mistake, none of this is accidental.
You don't even need a single villain for this to work. The systems are just perfectly aligned. Retail calendars are engineered to hit their peak precisely when our psychological defenses are at their lowest. Credit systems suddenly expand, they offer forgiveness and higher limits because they know our decisions are being driven by emotion. And payment methods are designed to be completely frictionless, to mask the reality of what everything actually costs in the moment. The system doesn't force us to do anything, it just anticipates our behavior and waits.
And the result of all this alignment isn't some dramatic, sudden crisis. It's something much quieter. It's a slow erosion of personal freedom that just unfolds over time. We all know the cycle, and it repeats with the certainty of the seasons. December brings that emotional relief, January brings the financial pressure, and the rest of the year, that's marked by a slow chipping away of financial freedom. And because this pattern happens every single year, the stress it creates just becomes normalized. It starts to feel as unavoidable as a change in the weather.
And this brings us to the most unsettling question at the heart of this whole thing. It's not really about the spending itself. It's about what it reveals, about how conditional our own rationality really is. Because this is the fundamental trade-off we're all making. The immediate social discomfort of holding back, of not participating in the way we're expected to, that feels more potent, more real than the future abstract discomfort of being in debt. The fear of being socially absent has somehow become stronger than the fear of being financially constrained.
And so, the real question isn't why people overspend. The question is,
Why is this the only time of year when no one is surprised that they do?